old city.
You lived in Gaza? Oh, you were
And
there?
here we meet a father and daughter who lived in an Israeli settlement inside Gaza until it was closed 20 years ago. They both think Gazans should be evicted and that Israel should take over the territory.
Landlord behavior is crazy.
If someone was trying to kill your wife
Miss Taylor, thank you for the 25. Get the subs.
or kidnap your child from the home, was you're thinking about if we're hungry or not?
Once again, everything that a pro-Israel person in Israel says can be spoken about Israel tenfold in retaliation to Israel. Like, oh, what about kidnapping your wife and killing your child? How can you live with them? It's like, okay, like that is an understandable position from the perspective of the average Palestinian. And even then, they don't have that position for the most part. So the very fact that these people do not realize that they are the ones doing this in perpetuity, especially in the process of a genocide that is going on that everyone can fucking see and feel, implies that the only reason why there is no just solution to this is because Israel has not incurred significant penalties in the process. If Israel incurred significant penalties in the process, they would have to reconsider their belligerent military occupation and their militant position, their constant escalation. Okay? The reason why Israel does not ever withstand significant penalties is because America, the large superpower, the global hegemonic superpower, at least for the last 40 years, is allowing Israel to continue behaving in this way with zero accountability, with unlimited weapons. It's completely unacceptable.
Others, less strident, but still dubious that Israel has caused a famine.
I think Israel cares. I think Israelis in general care. And I don't find any other country that's fighting a war and trying to help them at the same time, the people.
No, a big part of the anger and resentment is that Israel is not even abiding by the basics. The basics of warfare, like the rules that were created. It is ridiculous. Like that statement in and of itself basically captures the Nazi sentiment behind Israel's genocidal ambition, like the Israeli state's genocidal ambition. You're not fighting a war with everyone. Okay, first of all, you're not fighting a war at all. You're doing a genocide. He knows that. He can't say the word. So he's like, but we're giving them food while we're fighting a war. It's like, you're talking about children. You're talking about women and children. You're talking about civilians. Like, of course, you are supposed to not treat this as an aberration that needs to be excised forcibly, but instead just local occupants of this land that deserve to live free of Israeli cruelty and Israeli violence. It's so strange that people don't see this reality when Israelis themselves are the first to admit it.
The IPC report says death, starvation, and deprivation are evident on the streets of Gaza. But on the outskirts of Gaza City, the Israeli military is slowly massing forces, ready to encircle this cursed place. If a ceasefire is not agreed, then this city of starving people will be attacked once more. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Jerusalem.
Please read the IPC report, cover to cover. Read it in sorrow and in anger. Not as words and numbers, but as names and lives. Be in no doubt that this is irrefutable testimony. It is a famine. The Gaza famine. It is a famine that we could have prevented. It is a famine that hits the most vulnerable first, each with a name, each with a story. that strips people of dignity before it strips them of life, that forces a parent to choose which child to feed, that forces people to risk their lives to seek food. It is a famine that we repeatedly warned of, but that the international media has not been allowed in to cover, to bear witness. It is a famine in 2025, a 21st century famine, watched over by drones and the most...
Who's causing this famine? No, they're saying it's Israel. I feel like they're... Am I wrong? Am I misunderstanding? Am I being too hopeful? I feel like they are saying Israel is doing this. Like, they're not... Normally, these guys... they're careful. They're perhaps a little too careful with their language in a way that like actually offers protective cover to the Israeli state. No, they're saying it. They're saying Israel is doing this. He said it in the beginning, and I believe he'll say it once again in this conversation. He is saying that Israel is starving the population of Gaza. And it took far too long for them to... Actually, I won't even say that it took the UN far too long, but like... this is the expansive permission structure. This is when the United Nations is actively saying Israel's doing a genocide. Israel's doing a fucking man-made famine. It is impossible for Israel defenders in the West to just continue being like, oh, this is anti-Semitism. UN is Hamas. And all of that will inevitably cause even more pressure to bubble up. That requires, that creates an environment that requires, that demands some kind of change in the positive direction.
Advanced military technology in history. It is a famine openly promoted by some Israeli leaders as a weapon of war. It is a famine on all of our watch. Everyone owns this. The Gaza famine is the world's famine. It is a famine that asks, but what did you do? A famine that will and must haunt us all. It is a predictable and a preventable famine. A famine caused by cruelty, justified by revenge, enabled by indifference, and sustained by...
No, it's not a famine, though. Famines are natural occurrences. No, they're saying it's a man-made famine, dude. Come on. Okay. They are saying this is a man-made famine. It is forced starvation that Israel has designed. They're saying it, okay? The only other thing that they're not saying is that, or at least saying out loud as of this point, and I don't think they ever will, is that America is doing it. Make no mistake, they have no issue with other members of the Security Council when they behave in fucked up ways. They call them out. Russia gets called out. China gets called out. America seemingly doesn't get called out. America is the major responsible party. When he says complicity, he's not actually defining who is complicit. He says, oh, we're all complicit. And to a certain degree, that's true. We have some semblance of culpability here. But if you look at the parties that are involved directly, it's Israel, number one, of course, but America is a very powerful number two, so much so that maybe America is number one and Israel's number two.
Complicity. It is a famine that must spur the world to more urgent action, that must shame the world to do better. It is a famine that therefore also asks, and what now will you do? My ask, my plea, my demand to Prime Minister Netanyahu and anyone who can reach him. Enough. Ceasefire.
This is low-key the UN doing the "if I was your mother" to Vladimir Putin. Remember that tweet? Vladimir Putin, if I was your mother, I'd embrace you. Like, yeah, dude, you're gonna please reach out to Benjamin Netanyahu. He can't hear the cries of starving children. No, dude, he goes to sleep with that playing on repeat. Okay. That's not, he knows, he loves it. He's fucking fantasizing about more of it.
The crossings, north and south, all of them. Let us get food and other supplies in, unimpeded, and at the massive scale required. End the retribution. It is too late for far too many, but not for everyone in Gaza. Enough for humanity's sake. Let us in. Thank you.
Also, speaking of mechanisms of control, TikTok updated its guidelines 15 days after hiring a former IDF soldier and proud Zionist to fight anti-Semitism, calling the IDF terrorist now violates community guidelines, even though it's literally real. That is true. That is exactly what it is. They also changed all racial supremacy as hate speech to only white supremacy, they say. I don't know how hard they're going to go after that. I don't know how valid that is. But some changes are obviously going to be implemented. That's the reason why they got like an anti-Semitism czar. So it's not surprising at all. Another fat L for China there. TikTok is definitely trying to tweak the algorithm in a way where it's that it suits the American State Department so that they just can still keep selling you unlimited labubus. Okay. Here is a friend of the show, Zach Foster, and talking about in under 1 minute how he went from how he became an anti-Zionist. Okay, I've had Zachary Foster on before. He is a historian of Palestine, has a PhD from Princeton, specifically on the history of Palestine. I believe Zach Foster himself is Jewish, and he was one of the early academics I had on to speak convincingly on this issue. He's a fantastic resource for understanding the history of Palestinian resistance, even the evolution of Hamas as a group that turned into militancy. Let's hear what he had us to say here.
And then I spent a summer 2006 in the Balkans with a group of half Jews, half Palestinians, and I learned that the Palestinians I met, mostly Palestinian Americans, who have a strong connection to Palestine, whose parents and grandparents are from Palestine, who want to return to Palestine. They can't because they're of the incorrect religion. They're not Jewish, so they can't go, even though their parents and grandparents are from there. Whereas me, an American Jew, who may or may not speak a word of Hebrew, who may or may not have any ties whatsoever to the country, who may or may not be able to even identify where it is on a map, I have a quote-unquote birthright to go move there, claim citizenship, get benefits, free language instruction from the Israeli government. Does that make any sense to you?
I'm trying to post complimentary TikToks of you. It keeps getting flagged for violent extremism. Do you know why this might be happening? I think I'm my days in TikTok are they're not over necessarily, but let's just say I have a lot of trolls obviously that are like actively spamming. But let's just say that it's not as democratic as a process any longer. Most of my TikToks that normally would bang, absolutely, and there's uncertainty there. Barely make it past like 100K views now. Is pretty wild. Yeah, TikTok algo is busted for sure. Not exactly seeing me as a very favorable. My ideology or my worldview is a favorable one. It is what it is, Nevertheless, we keep pushing. But yeah, if you're marked as like a pro Palestine account, I feel like if they just kind of tweak the algo a little bit, and you go to TikTok jail.